Hello, my name is Pete. I'm a recovering gaming addict, and I'm here to talk to you about the 12 steps of Online Gamers Anonymous, and which are the 12 steps of recovery for gaming addicts. Specifically, this video is about step 1. We admitted we're powerless over gaming and that our lives had become unmanageable. So I'd like to talk about this step in context of my own recovery. And to do that, I need to tell you a little bit about my experience, strength, and hope. In other words, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. As I said, I'm a gaming addict and recovering for 4 years now. And I keep my recovery by helping others to recover from their own addiction so that I might never forget, what it's really like. What level of desperation I had actually sunk to. So, without further ado, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. My name is Tommy on the forums, and I'm also an admin at Olga Anon. So, about addiction. I think that most addicts have some propensity for addiction when they're born. In my case, I'm pretty sure of that because there were many addicts in my Irish background family. My family are from Canada, and I've lived in Europe for the last 15 years. How do I know I have a propensity for addiction? Well, I was a smoking addict. And when I was in my 30s, what used to be heavy drinking turned into alcoholism. And I sought help through Alcoholics Anonymous. I went through the 12 steps there. They were the originator of the 12 steps for the many programs for addicts use today. I got sober. I had my last drink January 31st, 1993. And to be honest with you, I thought I'd done with my addictions. So in the last 10 or so years, I really have never had even the desire to drink. So I don't drink socially, I don't miss it, it never really occurs to me. But something happened was that I became, a gaming addict. And probably most of you watching this video are a lot younger than I am, and you wonder, well, what can someone his age teach to me? It was really different for me, and so on and so forth. But try and give you some background. I was always an early adopter of technology. I've been interested in technology all my life. I was the first of my friends to get a PC. I was the first one to use the internet. I was the first to get a laptop. I was the first to get a smartphone. So for me, it's always been, technology's been interesting. I make my own web pages, and so I'm pretty technical, although I don't have any formal training in technology. So, yeah, it probably all started in the late 80s when, Windows, the first version of Microsoft Windows came out. And, one of the first applications I bought for my PC was, in fact, a game. It was a strategy game. I remember it well. It's called Panzer General. Panzer General. It's an online strategy game. It interested me because I've always been interested in history and strategy games as well. So I bought the game. I played it and played it overnight. But yeah, within a couple of weeks or maybe a month, I got bored of it because I started to be able to, really defeat the artificial intelligence in the game, and it was no longer a challenge. So I went on to other things. In that time, I had a young family, had a career. I was doing a lot of house renovations, so I was really too busy to spend much time gaming. Over the next few years, whenever I discovered a new game, I would go through a similar pattern. I'd start, I call it binge gaming. I'd play the game until I got bored with it, and then, leave the computer alone and go off and do other things. So that happened until about 2007. when things weren't really going well at work, and I discovered the first MMORPG, and the combination was really a perfect storm that pretty much brought me to my knees. So I'd like to just say that I won't tell you what the name of the game was. There are many MMORPGs on the market, from World of Warcraft to Call of Duty to Hello Kitty. I mean, there's many kinds and shapes, sizes, forms. But I think they all have two things in common, is that they're really tend to be all-consuming, and they involve a whole bunch of other players. And I think what's less important is what the differences are between the games than what they actually do to you, that create the compulsion to play and play again. And I think that's the dangerous part of it. But for me, anyway, so I was working, I was traveling, I was raising a family, and I was having trouble at work, and then I discovered this game, and wow, okay, so it was everything I really, it was like a perfect convergence of many things I was interested in. So I started playing, and I started playing, almost in my spare time, and pretty soon everything came second. I was still holding on a job and looking after my family, renovating the house and this and that, and had a good social life, but I guess the first thing that went was my work, which wasn't going too well anyway, but I would check off at 5 o'clock at night, and get off the the work server and just log on to the game server, and there I'd go. And at that time I probably should have been spending about 150% of my time focused on my work, but as it was only 75%. I remember going to the annual conference for the company I worked for, and sure, I went to all the seminars during the day, and I attended the dinners, but as soon as dinner was over, I went to my room and started playing the game, and playing until late at night. And I missed the opportunity to network with all my colleagues and the bosses and this and that. And so, it was pretty obvious to, I think, most people that, hey, Pete's not a team player, and yeah. So it was no surprise that I wasn't meeting my objectives, and they gave me the heave-ho. Well, at this point I was in La La Land, okay, so my fantasy, I was living in my fantasy, I was living the game, and so I thought, no problem, I got some money as a severance package, and I thought, great, I'll start my own business. Had good plans, did this, did that, all the rest of it, but in point of fact that most of the time I was on the game. Whenever I would meet a disappointment or meet a success or this, whatever the reason, I'd go back into the game and spend hours there. And anyway, this went on for 2 years, and you can't really not be earning any money and maintain the same sort of lifestyle, no matter how much money you've got in your account. And towards the end of 2009, things were starting to look pretty desperate. I was pretty good at just avoiding problems until they absolutely smacked me in the face. So they smacked me in the face, and towards the end of 2009, I was desperate. I was depressed. I was suicidal. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't stop gaming, and I had tried gaming. I had tried to stop gaming probably 3 times very seriously. A couple of times I went away for vacation, and the moment I got back, boom, back in the game. One time I actually stopped for a whole month, and do you know what was the trigger that got me back? Was the whole time, the thoughts were going around my head like a hamster, on a wheel, and it was the people, my friends in the game. Even though I wasn't connected with them, I was thinking, what are they doing? What's going on? What am I missing? And it was all those thoughts that really just ended, compelling me to go back into the game. So I was desperate. I didn't know how to stop. So the first thing I did was, I did some searching on the web, and I found Online Gamers Anonymous. And wow, it's incredible. There's a bunch of people who have the same problem as me. At first I tried to find other people who had the same specific game because, like many addicts, I had a case of terminal uniqueness. So, I said, no, these guys who play WoW, it doesn't make any difference to me. I really want to find the people who have my own game. But that soon passed. What I did, which helped me, was that I was spiritual and not hugely religious, but I said, okay, I'm going to get down on my knees and pray, and I'm going to pray that my higher power will look after those people who I've left behind in the game. And it really worked, because I no longer had responsibility, and I stopped obsessing about what they were doing, and I was able to focus on my own recovery. So I joined Online Gamers Anonymous. I met a couple of people who were in a similar stage of recovery. I shared, my difficulties. What was surprising to me, as I've mentioned to you before, I'd been involved in different addictions, alcohol, smoking. Smoking was hard to quit. I was really astonished. My first big surprise was that I actually had withdrawal symptoms from gaming. I just couldn't believe it. The first fortnight after having stopped, I was a wreck. I was nervous, I was distracted, I couldn't put two thoughts together. The best I could do was really lie all day in front of the TV, watching movies and TV shows. But eventually that too passed, okay? And so I was able to start feeling a little better. And going back to the steps. So what was it about me that made me willing to accept the step? Well, I was powerless. On my own, I had tried many times to quit the game, and I couldn't. And my life had become unmanageable. The creditors were at the door, and I didn't know whether to stop or go, or just, I had no solution. And, fundamentally, I had hit my personal bottom. And my good education, my fine intellect, my intelligence, and all those other things that made me, good at what I did, a good father, a good husband, a good provider, all the rest of it, were completely worthless. I was powerless. Those things left me powerless to control my addiction. I had to turn to others for help. So I think that for many of us addicts, we tend not to want to stop on our own accord. It's only when the consequences of our addiction bring us to our knees, and whether that's, losing a job, losing a family, getting kicked out of the house, there are many terrible things that can happen in life that finally are the wake-up call that allow us to say, yes, I am addicted. Yes, I need help. Or in the word of Step 1, yes, I am powerless over this addiction. Yes, I am powerless over gaming. My life is a mess. My life has become totally unmanageable. And that was really the first step. And admitting the first step, admitting that I could not fix myself, was the first key to recovery, and really the smartest thing I've ever done. So I hope the story, my own personal story, has helped you, and I will post about Step 2 as soon as possible. Thanks.